eons of time, man's heart and soul have been linked with his eyes. Sages say that the eyes are the windows of the soul, the source of love in man. Scientists claim that almost 90% of sense awareness is received and felt with the eyes. Sight is a great blessing. With eyes, we see the beauty of the Lord's world. With eyes, we see our beloved. In present-day India, 9 million people are blind. Of these, 5 million are blinded by cataract, a curable disease.
बड़ी बेनती है, मैं पिछले भी कई दफा से संज्ञा जारी कर चुका हूँ। 1 नवंबर में आई कैंप शुरू होएगा।
Because of his great love for suffering humanity, in 1965, Huzur Maharaji started the first eye camp at the Radha Swami colony in northern India. At that time, 1,250 people underwent surgery for cataract and had their sight restored. Since 1965, almost 138,000 people have been screened for surgery, and 58,971 have been operated on and cured. Most of them are elderly and destitute. The Radha Swami colony covers the entire cost of the camp, and not 1 rupee is collected for medical care, food, or lodging. It is entirely free for all the patients. This year, an average of 600 people were operated on per day for 10 days under the guidance and blessings of Huzur Maharaji and under the skillful hands of Chief Surgeon Dr. J.M. Pawar, a brilliant and lovable human being.
Well, this camp is different from many other camps, because one thing is that this is a large eye camp. We don't get such number of patients as we are getting over here. The number goes up to 6,000 or so, while in other places it is nearly 1,800 or maybe a little more than that. The other difference, I think that is the more important difference, is that we get the things done right at the time when we want it. Smooth working. People are working with devotion. People are working with dedication. They are they want to serve only. Their aim is only to serve. And then thirdly, the grace of the Master. Huzur Maharaj Ji is always there, and I think with his kindness, with his grace, everything revolves in a way that the working is quite smooth, so that we can do the work very easily and also in a way that helps in the care of the patients also. So this camp is very different from most of the eye camp, rather almost all other camps that we do it. It is different, Well, when you ask me what is the feeling when you restore a sight, I think it cannot be described. It can be only felt, Yes, you get the greatest pleasure when you give sight, when you help somebody and things. And this is what has been taught in this dera, and this is all the people are working with this devotion to serve the poor humanity. And it is our sacred duty, it is our foremost duty that we should help those people who are in need of it. Rather, in our hospital we say that Dukhi Manav Hamara Ishwar hai. That means the old man, the distressed man, and the needy man is our God. And if we just believe that thing, and if we work on this principle, I think there cannot be better anything than this.
Doctors and nurses arrive from all over India and the world to freely assist in this great service. There are 232 doctors at the camp, 21 of whom are foreigners.
Now these are all postgraduates with the MS, MD, new basic medical specialists, yes, some PGIs, all kinds. Now these professor and doctor. Now here after two graduates with diplomas. Many old faces, some are new faces, graduates here, sir.
Potential patients arrive through the Dera gates by bus and rickshaw and some by foot. The Sevadars greet them and unload their bundles. They then guide them to the great shamiyanas where they await processing. Many travel hundreds of miles just for the chance to be treated at this eye camp, satsangi and non-satsangi alike. It is the largest eye camp in India. From the shamiyanas, the patients are then escorted through the open field behind the satsangar, where their bundles are checked, until they return from being screened for their possible operation. The scene of patients waiting quietly in humble submission in the long queues is inspiring. Many have total faith in Maharaji and the eye camp Sevadars and wait months just for this chance to be cared for and have their sight restored. 7,000 Sevadars meet at various times in small groups to receive instructions on how to care for patients. What they are about to do in the next 3 weeks is totally remarkable. Their tender care and strict obedience make this camp a model for the rest of India and the world. They do it all for love of their master. You can see it in their eyes. They hold him in their hearts as they perform their duties with a brilliance that is unmistakable. It is all a labor of love. Patients are fed a meal of dal and chapatis outside the screening center at the Sadhu ashram, and then are led inside where a team of doctors diagnose each patient and determine if they are healthy enough to undergo surgery. Everyone's height and weight is measured because experience is taught that undernourished patients tend to be high risks and must unfortunately be rejected. Maharaji visits the screening center every year, and his beautiful darshan is a boost of enthusiasm for everyone working there. Just one glimpse of the master fills the Sevadars, doctors and nurses with great love, and this feeling overflows onto all the patients. This love is almost a tangible feeling, and everyone at the center is thrilled by the experience. Maharaji walks from room to room inspecting conditions and receiving reports from Sevadars. He meets with every doctor on duty and makes note of any unusual cases. Dark rooms for eye exams and 21 medical examination rooms handle 10,811 patients. There are 2 dental examination rooms and 1 room for complicated medical cases. At the Dera Eye Camp, most of the patients treated are from rural areas and are too poor to go to hospitals. This year, 5,820 patients were accepted for operations. The remaining people are given free medicine and advice concerning the health and care of their eyes. Then they are either sent home or in some cases escorted to the Maharaj Sawan Singh Charitable Hospital in Beas for further free treatment. Those having an immature cataract are treated for any other ailments and advised to return to next year's camp.
अच्छा ये ऑपरेशन ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ लेकिन ਕੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ पेशाब ਦੀ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਥੋੜੀ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਡੇਰੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਹਸਪਤਾਲ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਿਆਸ ਉੱਥੇ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਭਰਤੀ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਨਾਲੇ पेशाब ਵਾਲਾ ਇਲਾਜ ਹੋ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਲ ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਅੱਖ ਦਾ ਆਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਊਗਾ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਲਓ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦੋਵੇਂ ਇਲਾਜ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ
हमारा जो मोतिया है ना वो कच्चा है और जब पक जाएगा तभी उसकी ऑपरेशन कराएंगे अभी अगर कराएंगे तो आँख खराब हो जाएगी तो आप ऐसे करना 6 महीने बाद आपके जो गांव के पास जो बड़ा हॉस्पिटल होगा वहाँ बता देना और नहीं तो 1 साल बाद यहाँ आकर फिर करवा लेना
All patients who are rejected are carefully told what is wrong with their eyes and the reasons why they are being sent to the hospital or back home. After screening, patients are escorted by Sevadars to the various pre-operative wards. There are 60 wards for females and 35 wards for males. The 2 ward centres are at the Sawan Singh Sarai and the large ladies' shed nearby. Both wards lay on land reclaimed from the river. Separate wards are established for those with cataract of the left eye and those with right eye cataract. This makes it easier to avoid mistakes in the operating theatre as well as at the time of eyeglass distribution. A wave of excitement sweeps over the faces in the wards whenever Huzur walks by them. His visits are a source of inspiration, while His Grace provides a healing touch for the sick and deprived. The atmosphere around him is serene and calm, filled with love and grace. On one occasion, the walls separating the wards and the ladies' shed were removed so that the visiting television reporters from Indian radio and TV could view the enormous numbers of patients. Because of its size, this eye camp receives national attention in India. Extra care is taken by the doctors and nurses in the one-eyed wards. If any complications occur here, it could mean total blindness for the patient. Diabetic patients are housed in special wards. Their urine is examined 3 times a day, and they receive regular injections of insulin to keep them fit for the rigors of surgery. 2 isolation wards are set up, one for men and one for women. These wards handle patients with minor infections, scabies, and even leprosy. Ward doctors here spend extra time with the staff to teach them proper methods of handling these patients. To prevent the spread of disease, these suffering people go to surgery on the last day. Maharaji visits the wards every morning before satsang, giving assurance, kind looks and loving glances to everyone there, checking in on patients, observing the doctors, and overseeing how the Sevadars are caring for patients.
माइपिया भी है और इसके श्रद्धा जो है वो भी है, तो इसका बड़ा इतिहास है।
Maharaji loves the children. He spends time with them almost every day during the camp. He knows how delicate they are, so he consoles them and their parents with extra love and compassion. Any worries or concerns a mother might have all vanish at the sight of the master standing before them. This year, 52 children were operated on for congenital cataract, and all were a success. Two emergency wards handle patients who require careful watching. An ambulance from the Maharaj Saman Singh Charitable Hospital stands by around the clock nearby. This vehicle carries any critical patients to the hospital's intensive care unit 5 kilometers down the road. Having this hospital backup is an important safeguard for all patients and is another reason why this eye camp stands out from all others in India. Sevadars clean the camp area throughout the day. Every morning, before sunrise, hundreds of volunteers wet down the ground and create mud plasters to prevent dust from rising. Streets near the operating theatre are swept and then mopped with wet rags. Water tankers wet down the streets later in the day to further prevent dust from contaminating the air, and hoses are used on the open fields. All the red and white surfaces are repainted daily to add to the clean appearance of the camp. In the past few years, Maharaji has requested the planting of more than 300,000 trees at Dera, especially in the river area. These trees have added a beautiful new look to Dera around the eye camp grounds. They provide shade from the hot sun and nesting sites for birds, and they also add fresh oxygen to the air around them. Plants and greenery are everywhere, almost as much as the smiling faces of Sevadars filled with love and caring. The eye camp laboratory, in addition to examining urine for sugar, TLC, DLC, and hemoglobin, also tests blood for malaria parasites. The lab is centrally located between the two ward structures, just down the hill from the main operating theatre. Maharaji tours the facility and visits periodically with some of its 37 technicians to encourage them in their tireless work. Next to the lab, a staff of 85 ladies manufacture clothing and masks for the operating theatre. They also cut and roll cotton into various shapes for eye patches, dressings, and wipes. Over 5,000 dressings are changed 4 times during the camp, making this shop a busy place for Sevadars. All the bandages and dressings are made here. Nothing is brought in from the outside. All dressings and materials are sterilized in a room conveniently located next to the operating theatre. In all wards, daily activities include blood pressure checks and doctor examinations. Each ward doctor stays with his or her ward throughout the time of the camp so that a camaraderie is built between doctor and patient. By the time the camp is over, the doctors have an extensive knowledge and a warm regard for all their patients. Minor physical ailments are also treated while the patients wait for surgery. Some of the routines for the Sevadars include sponge bathing the patients and tenderly washing and combing out their hair. They burn incense for a pleasant atmosphere and try to make the patients feel at home in their wards. The food they serve is nutritious and aids in rapid recoveries. A special team makes rounds once a day serving a vitamin-rich milk. All patients are daily given 1 multivitamin, 1 vitamin C, sulfur tablets to prevent infection of the eyes, eye drops, and terramycin eye ointment. The good cheer and tender care these Sevadars provide is a joy to behold. They are a happy people, smiling, always enjoying their work, because their minds are on one person, the Master, pleasing him, working for him. That is all they want. And if they can have the great privilege of a glimpse of the Master, then what sweetness they feel. To keep patients fit during the sometimes long wait before operations, Sevadars lead them through exercises in the wards or outside in the courtyards. The patients laugh and really enjoy themselves. Some of the foreigners visiting Dera took up responsibility for this rewarding activity. Just before Operation Day, and after a final screening by Dr. Pawa's support team, the eyelashes are trimmed by Sevadars with a loving tenderness. In a kind of meditational quiet, patients form lines in the courtyard outside the operating theatre on the day their ward goes for surgery. They are given Diamox tablets in preparation for the operation to relax them. Eye drops are administered to clean the eye, and any false teeth are removed. With beautiful patients, they await their turn, knowing that clear vision is now within their reach. With the Master standing at the head of the lines, the scene is powerful. Sevadars may pause for a moment and look to the Master, but they never stop working. They concentrate totally on their seva, and this is how Maharaja prefers it. He sees them all. He sees what they are doing and how they are doing it. His power is beyond words, beyond what the eye can capture. His love, the gracious glances he bestows on patients and Sevadars alike, there are no words for what happens here. And then he says, "We are fortunate that these humble people allow us the opportunity to serve them." To be operated on is painted with mercurochrome, more to identify the eye than to kill germs. A bandage is fitted and tied. Now the patient line is ready to go inside. All this takes perfect timing and organization. This is where 22 years of iCamp experience pays off. No one is forgotten. No one is sent to the wrong room. No one has the wrong eye operated on. The choreography is flawless under the Master's direction. Sevadars, with great care, help patients into the anesthesia room and prepare them for surgery. Every 42 seconds, an operation is completed, and a new stretcher appears from the operating room carrying a post-operative patient. This flow continues throughout the whole day. Once inside the theatre, drops are again administered, and then anesthesia is injected. 9 operating tables are occupied at all times. As soon as one is vacated, it's filled with an incoming patient. Timing is essential. After the patient is lifted onto the table, she is dressed and prepped for surgery. The upper eyelid is stitched and held open by one of the surgery team. The patient is then ready for Dr. Pawa, who approaches the patient, is handed a sterile knife, and makes the incision. His hand is smooth and steady. His decisions impeccable. He then moves to the head of the table, receives another sterile instrument, and uses it to remove the clouded lens. His work is then finished, and he moves to the next patient. This assembly line approach to mass operations is precise and effective. Since becoming a surgeon, Dr. Pawa has restored sight to more than 300,000 people. Razura Maharaji appears every day at the viewing window to give darshan to Dr. Pawa and the entire operating team. In the presence of the master, the work goes on. After Dr. Pawa leaves the patient, another surgeon stitches the eye and completes the operation. Covers are removed from the patient and pads are placed over the eyes. A bandage is applied. The patient is then carried to a waiting stretcher just outside the operating room. From here, the patient is carried by 2 Sevadars via a relay system until the assigned ward is reached. A posted list outside each ward identifies all the patients occupying beds there. After a patient reaches his destination, ward doctors immediately check pulse and blood pressure to assure the patient is in stable condition. The children's wards are adjacent to the operating theatre, so if any complications occur, they can quickly be handled. One parent stays with each child at all times to comfort and reassure them. The children are given a general anesthesia in the operating theatre because of their active nature. The operating technique used on the children is called needling. The youngest child operated on was 7 months old. Normally, feeding is not a difficult task after operations, but for people who have only one working eye, they remain essentially blind until their stitching and dressings are removed. So Sevadars in the one-eyed wards hand feed each patient with rare love and kindness. Care like this cannot be bought at any price in this world. Dressings are changed by a team of eye specialists. At this time, patients are checked for complications like infection, hyphemia, or shallow anterior chambers. Normally, patients are discharged 10 days after their operations. A computer keeps records on all the patients and produces daily statistics on camp activities. A creche or daycare center provides free, supervised activities for the children of visiting doctors. And a refreshments tent offers tea, coffee, and snacks for all the medical staff. One evening, Razura Maharaji invited Dr. Pawa to the foreigners' meeting on the guest house grounds.
Sir, please come here, please. It's for you. Today you are the master of the ceremony.
If you can't permit, I can pull that chair.
No, this chair will pull you here.
This is sir.
By now you all are quite familiar with Dr. Pawa's name. He is associated with our eye camp right from the inception. He is dedicated to the cause of eliminating blindness. He is well-known eye surgeon. Nobody can doubt that. Over and above, he is very humble. He is very lovable and a kind person. He is unconscious of his greatness. I have nothing else to say. I have specially requested him to this your press conference so-called. Mr. Madan Gopal will give you gist of the eye camp of today, of this time. You can ask any question about the eye camp. Madan Gopal can answer about the administration side, about the eye side. You can ask Dr. Pawa about the camp, or about any disease of the eye, or anything you know about the eye operations. You're most welcome to it. First, I would like Madan Gopal to give you a brief summary about the exam. Please come here.
Hello Maharaji, sisters and brothers. It is my privilege to lay before you a resume of activities of the current annual eye camp in Radha Swami Colony. As you are aware, this is the 22nd eye camp in the series. The first eye camp was organized in 1965. As in the past, the camp functioned under Brigadier G.S. Bal on the administrative side and Dr. T.N. Mathur on the medical side. The former was assisted by deputy administrators and about 7,000 sevadars, half of whom were ladies. These sevadars hailed from different parts of India, and their commitment and devotion to duty was praiseworthy. Dr. Mathur was assisted by 3 liaison officers, 232 doctors, including 21 from abroad, 286 nurses, including 2 from abroad, 37 laboratory technicians, 71 pharmacists, and 14 occupational theatre technicians.
I would like to add one thing. Even when Dr. Pava has operated more than 600 operations, he's absolutely relaxed and there's no tension on his face. I don't know whether to give credit to Dr. Pava or Mrs. Pava. That would be from them, but he's absolutely relaxed. You can ask him any question about the camp, about the eye.
Dr. Pava, what was the first year you started working at the eye camp, and would you give us a few of your first impressions when you came to the first eye camp, please?
Before answering your question, I will like to thank and pay my great gratitude to Haru Maharaji. The success of the camp party, as you said, was due to me or Mr. Pava. I will say it was because of him. And because of the blessing and the devotion and the atmosphere here. Well, the first eye camp I visited was in 1965, and that was a small first camp. We thought we are going to a camp as we go normally in any other camp. But in that camp, the rush of the patients was quite good. Of course, at that time, it was done only in Sadhu Ashram at that time. And we never anticipated that probably it will grow gradually into a very large eye camp. A eye camp, rather, the biggest eye camp in the whole country, I should say.
Dr. Pava, would you say the level of serenity and peace amongst the patients here is greater than in other camps that you visit?
I should feel so.
I was so impressed with the beauty of the patients here. They are so sweet, and I think that's how you please them, by their sweetness.
A word of love and compassion will make even a very hostile person much calmer.
Yes, thank you.
Still, this whole camp is based on love and service. Dedicated service by doctor, dedicated service by the sevadars, by the technicians, by everybody. Without dedication, you can't make such a camp a success. And I would rather we feel fortunate that these patients give us opportunity to serve them. So to get service is a very rare opportunity to serve anybody. And we are grateful to the patients that they give us opportunity to serve them. So that makes us happy, that makes Sevadar happy. So I will like to conclude the meeting by thanking Dr. Pava all the work he has done and his patience to answer to your all questions. Thank you very much.
One afternoon, Maharaj invited the visiting medical staff to a garden party in his koti. Some Western guests also shared in the prasad and the pleasant atmosphere. Maharaj walked from table to table